Hey guys, Adam here. So the OnePlus Nord just got released, and yes, I know I'm showing the OnePlus 7 Pro because I do not, unfortunately, have the OnePlus Nord, and I probably won't be getting it, but for all those people that are getting it, I'm going to tell you my first impressions and everything about the device, all the specs, what my opinions are about it, and spoiler alert, it's really, really great. Let's get started with the video. So first off, I'm going to start off right at the bat with probably the best thing about this phone. The OnePlus Nord, because I don't have the OnePlus Nord. And that is the pricing. Now, originally, I was saying that if it was, I believe I said, if it was, over $400, you probably shouldn't get it. Well, it's not $400. It's not 350. It's $335. Now, I believe in Europe it is a little bit more, but in India it is $335. That is a crazy price, and if you import this from India, then that is an amazing price. Like seriously, for all that you're getting for, which I'm going to be talking about soon. The OnePlus Nord is a great phone, and overall, you should definitely buy it for 335 bucks. So first off, I'm going to start off some things that I really don't like about the OnePlus Nord, or I was a little bit disappointed by. And that first thing is the design. Now, I was expecting a really premium design, and it is overall a pretty premium design. It still has a glass back, a glass front, but there is a couple of problems. First of all, I particularly don't like this. A lot of people do like a flat display, but I don't particularly like a flat display. I really like a curved display. And so the OnePlus Nord has a flat display. That's not a big deal. But the big deal for me is that the OnePlus Nord is actually completely surrounded by plastic. Besides the front and back, the sides that, the OnePlus 8, the OnePlus 8 Pro has aluminum, the OnePlus Nord has plastic. Now, I'm pretty disappointed by that. I was really expecting more of aluminum and glass design, not a plastic and glass design. So a little bit disappointed there. Another thing I was a little bit disappointed by was the thing with the cameras. So I was expecting, a 5 megapixel macro camera. And so this isn't really a big deal. But it shows that OnePlus is kind of copying the other brands. And that is that the OnePlus Nord has unfortunately a 2 megapixel macro camera. I was saying that if it had a 5 megapixel macro camera, I'd be pretty okay with that. But it has a 2 megapixel macro camera. Now, I was right about the 5 megapixel depth camera, so that's pretty good, I guess. It'll be good for portrait shots. But anyway, enough about that. Let's actually talk about the main camera, and that is a Sony IMX586 sensor that is 48 megapixels and can record 4K at 30 FPS. So you might be like, why 4K at 30 FPS? I don't know either. But I'm just going to get into, that's just the start of the weird things with the camera. Anyway, let's talk about the ultra-wide camera. The ultra-wide camera, not too disappointed about it. It only has 8 megapixel macro camera, but really not that big of a deal. Actually, I heard that it has a decent amount of, it's actually a pretty good ultra-wide camera. Actually has a wider field of view, I believe. The OnePlus 7 Pro has a 117 degree field of view, and I believe the OnePlus Nord has a 119 degree field of view, so almost 120 degree field of view. So a little bit cool about that. And so the Sony IMX586 sensor is actually on the OnePlus 8, which I did talk about in my final leaks and rumors. And overall, from the sample pictures that I've seen, it's really, really great. Carl Pei posted a lot of Instagram photos, and they all look great. There's still nightscape. There's everything that you could really want. And so overall, pretty great camera. But let me talk about that recording thing on the two front-facing cameras. So the two front-facing cameras, I obviously have a pop-up front-facing camera on the OnePlus 7 Pro, so I can't show you. But there's two front-facing cameras that are around, like, it would be around here. And so those two front-facing cameras are, one is a 32 megapixel IMX616 sensor that can record 4K at 30 or 60 FPS. So that's really weird because why? Like, why did OnePlus not put 4K 60 FPS on the back-facing cameras? It's just really weird because that really doesn't make any sense. If you really think about it, the OnePlus Nord can do like better video than like on the front cameras and the back cameras. That just, in my opinion, doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know why they did that. Maybe it's a software update. They may do 4K at 60 FPS because they did eventually do ultra-wide video for the ultra-wide camera and the OnePlus 7 Pro eventually. So they do a lot of camera updates. They probably will do it. But why OnePlus? I don't really get that. But what's awesome about this is that the front camera, unsurprisingly, is actually really, really great. IMX616 sensors used on a lot of premium phones, including the Huawei P40 Pro, the Huawei P30 Pro, the Mate 30 Pro, so on a lot of Huawei devices. But yeah, it's actually a pretty great front-facing camera from what I see. And it also has an 8 megapixel ultra-wide, and I believe the ultra-wide has a 105-degree field of view. So that's pretty great. I don't particularly use selfie cameras, but still pretty great. Anyway, enough about the cameras. Let's talk about the actual performance and everything. How's the performance, in day-to-day life, and how does it actually compare to the OnePlus 7 Pro? I was thinking if I should make, a separate video of the OnePlus Nord or the OnePlus 7 Pro, and I will, but I do want to go over some simple things, of the OnePlus 7 Pro versus the OnePlus Nord. So this is actually a great comparison because they're actually really similar in price. Actually, a little bit too similar because seriously, right now, the OnePlus Nord has basically a $335 price tag. This has actually went down on eBay to about $335 too. So basically, same price. So with the OnePlus 7 Pro, you're getting the Snapdragon 855 with 6, 8, or 12 gigabytes of RAM. You will most likely get the the 8 gigabytes of RAM variant. That's usually what I see on eBay listings and Amazon listings too. But the 6 gigabytes of RAM is probably the same price. I haven't really seen any 6 gigabytes RAM listings, or 12 gigabytes of RAM. I've seen one or two. But really, you're most likely going to be finding 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and so that's pretty cool. But the OnePlus Nord has the Snapdragon 765G processor, which I'm going to talk about how it compares to the OnePlus 7 Pro in a little bit, and then also it has 6, 8, or 12 gigabytes of RAM. You might be like, what? They didn't show in the presentation or, in their thing that, in their background that they're actually doing 6 gigabytes of RAM. Well, actually, that's actually coming a little bit later from now. They're going to do a 6 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage variant. So that should be even cheaper. And I think that may start at $335. Either that starts at $335 and and I believe maybe the 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage variant starts at, I believe, $399. So still pretty similar pricing to the OnePlus 7 Pro. And yeah. So let's first talk about Antutu benchmark. And so it actually does pretty well. It gets 351,889, as you can see right here. So you might be asking, how does it put it, how does it take it up to other smartphones? Actually pretty great. Comparing to the iPhone XR, it gets a pretty similar score, 889, and then comparing to the iPhone XR, which is a little bit higher at 177. So very actually similar score to the iPhone XR. But comparing Antutu benchmark to, something like the OnePlus 7 Pro, well then it's a little bit different because in most cases you're gonna be getting about 475. This is when I didn't have as much storage on my phone, but for here you're getting 439,557. So yes, a little bit higher, but considering it is a cheaper phone, it's actually pretty great. And yeah. Okay, so now Geekbench. With Geekbench on the OnePlus Nord, you're getting a single core score of 607 and a multi core score of 1,948. Now, rounding that up, that's about 602,000. So, what is that comparing to the OnePlus 7 Pro? Well, it does okay. Comparing to the OnePlus 7 Pro, actually pretty close. Um, you're getting a single core score pretty similar to the OnePlus Nord of 720 and 2616. So overall, even though the OnePlus 7 Pro is the winner in this category, the OnePlus Nord isn't too far behind. And so yeah, overall, you're not really going to be seeing a difference. I believe in Call of Duty Mobile, you're going to be getting about the same performance, but overall, most general people, won't be noticing the difference between the OnePlus Nord and the OnePlus 7 Pro. Finally, let's talk about the display. On the front of the display, you have a 1080p Super AMOLED display that is running at 90 hertz, which is pretty awesome, which is the same as the OnePlus 7 Pro. And considering that $335 price tag, that is amazing. So, and it's 1080p. So pretty sharp, not as sharp as the OnePlus 7 Pro, but it is over 400 ppi. And so overall, pretty happy with the display. Besides that it's flat, I actually really like curves. I haven't had a problem really with any accidental touches on the OnePlus 7 Pro. So in my opinion, they should have just kept the curves on the OnePlus Nord. I really, really hope that they keep the curves on newer OnePlus devices, maybe the OnePlus 8T and the OnePlus 9 and stuff like that. Really hope so, because I actually really like the curves. But in your opinion, what do you think about the OnePlus Nord? Is it good? Is it bad? And finally, should you buy this device? Yes, you definitely should. However, take into consideration the the OnePlus 7 Pro, because the OnePlus 7 Pro has the same price, has a little bit of a different camera setup. Do realize that camera setup actually probably goes to the OnePlus Nord because it has more cameras, and it also has two front-facing cameras, and also has more software optimizations because it does come with Oxygen OS 10.5 instead of something like 10.0.5 or something like that. So it's kind of a big difference, and so you're probably going to be getting a little bit better picture quality on the OnePlus Nord. And then in terms of processor speed, you're really not going to be noticing a difference. I'm actually pretty sure on Fortnite that you can play at 60 FPS. Pretty sure. Not 90. Probably not 90, because it's not powerful enough for that. If you could run 90 FPS, then you would be able to run 90 FPS on here. But pretty impressive for the OnePlus Nord. Really happy that they made this. I'm actually really, really glad that they made this, because they needed a mid-range phone. They needed it because they haven't been making mid-range phones, or flagship killer phones. But now I would technically consider this a flagship killer. Basically, it has all the flagship specs that you want. The only thing is the processor, and the processor is very, very close to the 845. Very close, and not that far behind the 865 and the 855. Definitely a little bit behind, but overall, in most cases, you're not going to be noticing a difference. Anyways, guys, I'm so happy that this, that the OnePlus Nord got released. I already said this 1,000 times. There was some news about the something happening with Apple tomorrow, so I'll keep that in mind. And also, I believe the Asus ROG Phone 3 will be released tomorrow. Pretty excited for that. I might watch the launch of it, maybe like part of it. because it does start pretty early in the morning. Might not, might not get that up earlier in the morning. May watch it later in the day. But overall, pretty excited for that phone too. Should have like 144 hertz. Anyway, I'll probably do a first impressions video of that too. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.